Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
How are things there? Anything interesting to share?
No,
Anything?
sir. So I think we can continue the session from the last one where we left.
Yep. So there are slight change of plans. We'll touch upon some certain other topics and then we'll jump back to where we left off.
Sure, sir.
But yeah, sort of asking the same question as Ritesh asked. Nothing interesting happened in last 5 years.
That's my days, right?
Maybe years, nah, because
5 years.
it has been too long for it has been too long for us when we were in college, because I'm not really sure you were there, Ritesh, when the library was made. I'm not really sure if you've seen it or not. The new
No, I
library.
haven't actually. At my time, it was getting constructed, so
Uh-huh.
we had to take that tough route from RD to the new petrol building. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because it was inaugurated in our time, and then later
Right.
on they were also planning to build some canteen and stuff right below the building.
Uh-huh.
And they were planning to sort of change the area close to that and make it into a park and place for people to sit in. And after that, add a lot of streetlights and stuff and open the campus for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of
Great.
stuff that was being planned. Not really sure how much it has progressed though.
So we have the new library and we have a new hostel as well in front of Sapphire, which is known as yes, sir, Aquamarine.
Aquamarine, all right. And I think that's the biggest boys hostel that we have right now.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Nice.
In my days, it was just a plan that there might be a time when there will be a hostel constructed here. And we used to just think that, okay, when will
Sir,
that
I believe
time come?
it is more than 20 floors.
It's more than,
wow.
It's really big.
What is the current strength of your batch, of the new joining batch in ISM?
So it's nearly 1,000.
Oh, 1,000.
So I think it remains the same. I guess the only
Yeah,
change
it
would
is, I think
be
it is.
people joining. More people are joining in the research part.
Right.
Masters in research. Okay. Yeah, I was waiting for us to touch 25 before we get started, but let me know, Raj, if we need to begin now.
Yes, in just a minute.
Okay, perfect.
And so for you, we are having the floodlights in the lower ground as well.
Oh, I know about that. Trust me, I was the one who worked
Yes,
a
sir,
lot
I know.
to get that
Yes,
get
sir.
that running.
Yeah. Sir, I'm too athlete there.
Okay, that's good. That's really good to know. How many people come to athletic nowadays?
So it's nearly around 15 to 20.
Oh my god, that's good. Because when I started off, I think there were only 3 people who were at least who were training with me on a daily basis. There were some people who came in intermittently, but there were only 3 people who came in daily. Huh. All right, that's good to know.
I think we are at 23. Maybe we can start.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Yes, sir. So I think first we'll go with the introduction.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You will have to give me and Ritesh the host privileges or co-host privileges if you can.
Sure, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Arslan, and I welcome you all to this 4-day-long informative Excel workshop that is being organized by SPE IIT ISM Students Chapter. We had a session on the first. The meeting was streamed over YouTube and can be viewed on SPE's YouTube channel for future references. The topic for day 3 of our workshop is lookups and VBAs in Excel. Lookup functions in Excel are used for looking through a single column or row to find a particular value. Excel VBA stands for Visual Basic for Applications. It is a programming language which is used to develop programs within Excel. It can turn complex or time-consuming tasks into automated processes, saving time and improving the quality of reporting. To equip us with this important Excel skills and knowledge, today we have with us our alumni, Mr. Ritesh Singh, Reservoir Engineer at ExxonMobil, and Mr. Ashutosh Kujur, who is a team lead reservoir engineer at ExxonMobil. We thank you both for sparing your time to address this session. You may begin, sir.
Right. Thank you, Aslan, for that really good introduction. So I'll begin, and again, I'll be slightly fast today. And we'll go through lookups and VBA, but we'll sort of jump through once we go through our lookup data or lookup sort of analysis and go back to where we left off in Excel. So keep your Excels open, and we can sort of go through that once we are done with the lookup section right here. So for today, before we begin, Ritesh and I both sort of wanted to understand if anyone tried anything after last week's lecture, and is there something that you guys were not able to solve or found something interesting that you want to share with the audience? Now might be the time. If not, we can begin.
So before that, I would request you to make SP ITSM student chapter as the host as well, co-host as well.
Oh yeah, no problem. Where can I see? There you go. Yep. Okay. Now they'll have to make me a co-host. All right. Since I don't hear anything, I guess either people have tried and they have it, or they were not able to try it, but not an issue. We'll do it today anyways. So again, I would request folks, I keep flashing this slide up just to make sure that you guys understand that this is an informant session, and the importance of speaking up is, well, very evident, right? Because the more you speak up, the more interactive the session would be, and you will able to get more out of the session. So for today, we are going to start with lookup, and what we are going to cover is how lookup works, right? In a very simple manner. Usually, we in various sites, what we see is a lot of text on how it shows how lookup works, but what we are going to show today is our understanding of how lookup works and certain formulas and how to write them. So we are trying to simplify it as much as we can, and hopefully you guys can make good use of it. So as Arslan sort of was describing is when we look up, we try to find a value, right? But how do we find a value? It depends on the nature of your data set. So if you have only one column, all you have to do is you need to find which row that data lies in, right? But if you have a tabular data, which you will have most of the time, for example, you have well on the first column, date on the second, and parameters on the rest of the columns, you will have to make sure that you're looking up the right column for any particular row, right? So it works two ways. So first, what you do in lookup is find the relevant row, then you find your relevant column, and then you find the intersection, which gives you the result, right? So this is how it works. So now I'll quickly sort of jump through to Vlookup, the formula that we used last session. Maybe we should have done this before, but we'll do this again today anyway. So let's go through it. So if you do a Vlookup, how it works. So I haven't put in the syntax on the bottom, but the syntax will appear as we go through our table here. All right. So when you find your relevant row and your relevant column, this is where your intersection is. Okay. Just give me a quick second. Yeah, there you go. So again, based on that, let's sort of start to write our lookup formula, right? So the first stuff that you need to sort of put in your lookup formula is the cell that you're using as a reference or the value. So you can straight away put in a value. You don't need to reference a cell here, right? The value that you need to match, followed by the data range that houses your data. Then you follow it by the column that you need to fetch the data from. For example, you know that even in this date range, your column where your data comes from is column D, right? So you will write say 3, and then you will put in a type of match. So there are two options here. You can either put 0 or you can either 1. So 0 stands for false, 1 stands for true. So when you put in false, it will give you exact matches. So if it finds anything in column B, so if it finds anything related to A1 here in column B, it will give you a, it will return you a value in case of false. But if you put in true, and if these two are numeric, it will give you the closest match that it can find. All right, so just keep that in mind. So one of the restrictions that lookup has is, for example, if you have a column, say column D, that you need to reference to look up column B, your VLOOKUP won't work, because for VLOOKUP to work, you need your first column to be the column which you are referencing for the value to match, right? So that is one of the limitations that we have, and because of that, we'll sort of show you what we use if we don't have our columns in the right order. But before that, anyone has any questions here, or was it easy enough to understand?
Yeah. So if there are no questions, I want to get some more perspective on this. That is, has anyone of you used VLOOKUP in any of your projects or any of your Excel analysis? Apart from if you have used it in the last session before that, do you have any experience with lookup or something similar to this, or is this completely new to you?
Completely new, sir.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes,
Thank
new
you
to
for
me
that.
as well.
Awesome. Thank you. That helps us in understanding that at what pace we should be continuing our discussion. Thank you very much for this.
Yep. All right. And if you guys have any questions, and if you don't want to interrupt us again, please feel free to use the chat or annotation. That is another avenue we'll use to sort of address your questions and queries. And since we have 2 lecturers now, it makes it easier, right, to do that. So please, we encourage you to do that. All right. So the next slide we have, I don't have the animations here, but if you have a lookup, right, and if you have different columns that you need to match, but again, the column that you need to look up your value in is not the first column. Usually what we use is an index match, right? So this works slightly differently. So index and match is made by combining 2 different formulas. So your index actually returns the value at a given position. So when we jump back to Excel, we'll use this once to show you how it works. And when you use match, it returns the position of the matched value, right? So for example, if you type in A1 in the index formula, you will get whatever value is inside A1. And if you do the same for match, it will give you 1, because in that particular row or in that particular selection, your position of the matched value is 1, right? So that is how these works. So how do we combine them, right? So you type in index, and then what you do is you give it a data range, and then you are supposed to give it 2 things. First is row that you need to fetch data from, and then second, you need to give it a column that you need to fetch the data from, and then type of match is again optional here. So when you do a VLOOKUP type index match, what you do is you provide a data range, you write something for match, so this will give you column, and then you give column number, right? So this is similar to what we did in Vlookup, but slightly different. But now if you want to do a dynamic lookup, what you in both row and column. So for example, your headers keep on changing as you drag your cell, right? So what you do is you write a match for column as well, but the range would be different. So A1 to D1 instead of A1 to A6. So this will automatically give you what column you need. And as a result, when you say write a formula here and then drag it here, so the first one will always give you a result for this column. But if you were putting it for the second one, it will give you different results after you drag it, because now it is based on a cell, right? And a different range every time you slide it across. So that is how you do it. Any questions until now?
So this second one is for different headers.
Second one is for different headers, yes. So always remember, maybe I should have done this. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. So this one's for row. This one's for column. So I'll give you an example, right? So maybe we can straight away jump to our Excel files. Oh yes. So now is the time. If you guys have your Excel open, please open it. And once you have it open, can you drop a yes in the chat? And Ritesh, can you help me monitor the chat?
Yeah, sure thing. Or you guys can even voice over. So
Yeah,
we have
if you
been
want.
hearing, and we have been seeing chats of these people. It will be very helpful for us also, that if you guys are more active on the chat window, or if you guys can voice over. So
Yes,
one thing which, oh great, awesome. Thank you for that. Well, one thing which I wanted to just quickly highlight is that VLOOKUP, or the lookup type of functions, are one of the most basic and very most commonly used functions in many of our analysis. Going forward, if some of you are working for as a production surveillance engineers or optimization engineers, even in artificial lift or be it reservoir simulation, you guys will be using these functions to a lot of extent. So especially in one of your assignments which will be rolling out after the session, it is you need to have a good command of this function to make those dashboards which we would be requesting you. So do follow closely on what Ashutosh is going to show you next.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Ritesh. We'll sort of begin now. So what I would request you to do is, first of all, before we make a new sheet, just come on to your main dashboard and see how it looks, right? Just to make sure that we have something, we have everything which looks similar. So if you guys remember, this is the data that we merged using Power Query, right? And this is the UID that we made. So if you remember, this is the same stuff that we used before to sort of do a two-way lookup, because now we are constraining it on a well and a date basis. And if you remember, the reason for doing that is because if we only do it by well, we'll only get first matches, and same for the dates, because we have repeating dates and repeating wells, right? So that is the reason. So just make sure that everyone has the UID ready. And if you guys have that ready, then I would request you guys to create a new sheet. So first of all, what we'll do is right now, what we made before here is, say, third dashboard. So what we had is, so before we go further, does everyone has this? This cumulative table? Okay. Do you guys remember what how we did this? We used a SUMIF. So do you guys have this, or do you guys not? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's really hard for me to sort of judge. Do you guys have it or not? I'll ask again, just to make sure that.
Ashutosh, is it possible? I mean, there might be chances that some people got lost
I can
while working
share
on
it again.
Yeah, if you could share the solution with them. They have the solution, right?
This one they don't, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we were close enough.
Right.
Currently in use. Just give me a quick second. I'll share it with them again. Okay, so for folks who don't have this ready, I'm sharing this in the chat. So please download it from there. It's around 3.5 MB. So this might take some time to download, but yeah, hopefully you guys have it. All right. Yeah, now everyone should have, technically should have it. Lookup. So if you guys remember now, one thing that was remaining, or two things that were remaining, is first of all, what we currently have here is just the cumulative numbers for these given start and end dates. But just only taking a look at cumulative numbers sometimes might yield wrong results. And as a result, what I wanted you guys to make, or what we will make today, is also plot in the trends, right? So maybe I'll write another stuff here. So if you guys remember, we also made a metadata file which we were using as a backup, right? So not as a backup, well, as a backup and as a lookup list as well. So I'll sort of change it to say oil for now. And then what we'll do now is we'll take all of our wells and just put them here for reference, and we'll use this as a lookup. So we have one parameter, we have 5 wells. Can anyone sort of let me know how many columns will we require to make all of the trends? Anyone wants to take a wild guess? Okay, no worries. So anyone wants to take a guess at how we'll write a lookup here? What would be our lookup value based on the data we have? Okay, let me make it more simple for you. Nice. All right. So this is how our data looks. And what we need to look up right now is oil volume, right? This one. And these are our wells. So what do you guys think? How should we proceed? No one wants to take a guess. Ritesh, would you like to take a guess?
Yeah, I would ask for the only one thing, that what would, guys, just tell us one thing, that which value you would be looking up. Can anyone tell us that which value you would be looking up? What should be your lookup value? Okay. Any guess on why did we create a UID?
Okay. I guess we don't have the regulars today, the ones who speak up. No problem. No problem. So for now, no worries. Just follow along with what I'm doing, right? So if you guys remember, this is so first what I've written is I've temporarily made a UID. I haven't made a different column, but we can make a separate column. Maybe let's do that so that it's easier to follow. Right? Okay. It's my bad. This would be C. But it has to change. So I can do this only for one well if I do this right, like this, right? So that is why what I was going to do here is Vlookup. So instead of doing it this way, I was directly making it this. So you can use this as a reference of what would be your lookup value, right? And this lookup value looks really similar to what we have here. Next thing, now our table array starts from here. So our first column should be the one that we're looking up, which goes up to n, right? And then next is your column index number. So what I can do, one way of giving it an index is I can count the number of columns I have. So I can type in 11. So if I go ahead and type in 11 here and say 0 for now, it should give me some data, but I'm pretty sure we are getting this error is because we don't have data for all the range. Let me quickly find it. Oh, or maybe I'm writing something different. Oh, I did not select the range. My bad.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. So right now what I have is, let's take a look at, why do we not have any sum? Oh, B1 is a, okay. We don't have anything because B1 is an injector, gas injector. So it doesn't have any data. So let's do it for this one right now. And if you guys see here, I'm going to make it slightly more complex, but if you see, we are getting errors, right? And if you get errors, what happens is you don't get you don't get things like sum and stuff written on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is tell it to give me a 0 whenever it encounters an error. All right, that is what I'm doing. So if error, value if error, and if it does not value if there are no error, and if it does encounter error, it will give me a 0. All right, so I'll do this now, and again the sum is 0. Maybe that my range is not big enough. Let me quickly check it. Okay, I do have some data from 2007.
Do you have values in the oil column, Ashutosh?
Yep, I do have values in the oil column. So maybe what we can do is just as a quick reference. So again, this is something that happens more often than not. Even if you are sort of confident in what you have, sometimes this happens. Okay, let me just quickly check if my calculations are running or not, because sometimes that is the issue. But okay, calculations are running just fine. So let me do it this way. Let's see if we can get anything. For some reason, it's not looking up at all. So let me try doing this.
Ashutosh, can you look up concatenate?
I don't think so. Oh, this is working. Okay. So let's do it from the scratch. Sorry. Go ahead, Ritesh.
You are looking up oil value, right?
Yep.
It is in the 12th reference, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, right. It was on 12th. Okay. I'll just actually, what I'll do is quickly borrow this from here for now. The one that we made last time. Just to make sure that we are doing it correctly. Okay. This is our well. Okay. So you said 12th, right? Maybe I was wrong. Let's see what we get. Okay, maybe 1 second. I'm doing this completely wrong because I know my wells are going to change anyway. So let me not put in well here. Instead, I'll put oil here. Right. Let me write it from scratch. Okay. Again, guys, while we are struggling to do this, if anyone has any questions, do let us know.
Yeah, and while you guys are following what Ashutosh is doing, can you help me answer one question? That why do you guys think that any one example where we lookup function or lookup function can be very helpful, which you guys can think of? Even you can use this example which he is currently doing.
Oh, there you go. That works.
Okay, so what he is trying to do here is that if you have to compare the performance, let's say for oil production, you have to compare 5 wells on a single plot, right? And you have data in the format in which it is present in the production injection data right there. We're just seeing everything is placed one below other, right? So the best way to compare is by making a chart or making a line plot or a scatter plot. And for that, you require data in this format. Unless and until you do it, you cannot compare the performance of the wells. So before going into analysis, before understanding that where your oil productions are increasing, where it is decreasing, and what actions will you take, the first thing is to get those trends right. And if that is where you are struggling at, you won't be going into that analysis, and we won't be making any money out of the project, right? So this is the first step of anything: getting your data right, getting everything which can be plotted correctly, and so how it's done.
Right. So I hope you guys have followed until now. I'm just adding a quick things that I usually do is we have someone in waiting room. My bad. Sometimes it's distracting. All right. So if you see here, if I change my stuff here, it should change the lookup as well. Why is it not changing? Oh, because I made it dynamic. Yeah. I almost forgot. Thanks for that. So now we also want to make sure that it changes with time, right? So for example, earlier I changed it to something else, but it didn't change. And the reason for that is because we provided it a column number and not a array that it can look up to. So I don't need to provide the entire array. I know my headers are in the first column. So all I'll do is this and then this. So I'll drag it again here. And just a neat trick, by the way, if you know that you need to change your headings each time these change, there are 2 ways of writing it, right? You can either go here and type it in, or you can click on the title. You can press equal to here and straight away link it to the cell it is where it can take its value from. So for example, if I change this to anything else, it will change automatically, right? And you can do the same for your x-axis as well. So this is a really quick and dirty way of sort of making good charts in a sense. One thing I'll do here is constrain it to 0. And then I'll move this to my original data sheet, which is right here. Okay. So I'll sort of try to take it slow now, but if anyone has any questions, now might be a good thing to ask, because now we'll be getting into more complex stuff. No one wants to see how this can be done via index match, because if you guys won't say, I won't show.
They're very scared of your formula, Ashutosh. They have got your VLOOKUP, concatenation, and match there, and if error.
Oh, maybe that is the case. Okay, but let's see if you guys are interested or not. So put it in the chat or ask us straight away. Are you guys interested in seeing how this can be done in index match or no?
Yes, sir. We'd like to.
Okay, okay, all right. Maybe we'll have to ask them questions this way, Ritesh. Okay, all right. So let's do it by index match, right? So for index, it asks us for array straight away. So I'll make it here, move it here again, and then select my array, right? F4. And in this case, we don't need our UID to be on the left. So what I'll do, just to sort of showcase you that, is just copy this and paste a copy of it towards the end, just to show you that it works. But you can use the first column if you guys want. Okay, so let's type it again. Index, your array again would be, oh, now this is the fun part for index match. Even if your matching column is not in the array, it will work, right? So let me show you this. My array is from B to N, and I'll use a column O actually as the matching column, right? So the matching column is not here. So now I need row. For that, I'll write match. My lookup value again would be concatenation. So concatenate, or let's use concat. That seems to work. Text one would be this one. Text two would be this one. And my lookup array now would be only one row, all right? Because now we don't need to give it anything else. And then my match type would be exact match. So you can also put in a greater and a less than match, but we'll not use that for today. We'll use that maybe sometime later. And now what I need to get is this first match was for column, second match is for row. So always remember, it's always row comma column. Sorry, it's my bad. So my lookup value is right here, and then my columns are, so just make sure that the range that you select in, say, your, okay, why is it giving me this? Okay, I know why. Just give me a quick second. Maybe I'll do this for now, but I'll change it later. Yeah. So make sure that you have one thing right? For example, when you are matching the headers, make sure that the headers are the match thing that you have given for the headers are not bigger or smaller than our original array, because what that will do is it will give you incorrect references. So just make sure that these are same. So if it starts from B to N, it should go from B to N, and not more than that, not less than that. All right, just make sure that you do that. 0. So this is how you write your index match. So I haven't written an if error, but let's see if it works. There you go, it works. And let's write if error as well. So I'm just writing if error just to make sure that we don't get these errors, to be honest. But again, it's totally optional, by the way. All right, perfect. So that is how you do it for index match. Again, if it was fast, if you want me to repeat it again, let me know. If not, I'll be trucking along.
Just one question, guys. Which way did you like better, the VLOOKUP way or the index match way? Or so it was both easy, or it was both very complex?
So there are always two gangs, by the way. Either people like VLOOKUP or they hate it, and same for index match. But I'll tell you, for me personally, sometimes I don't use both of them. I use SUMIF for my lookups. So that can be another option for you guys.
And for me, I am a VLOOKUP guy, and for index match is something which I'm getting I'm getting familiar with now. Yeah.
Okay, so we have two answers. So Ajay likes VLOOKUP and Arslan says index match. Okay, that's good. That's good. I guess in my sheets was the first time you saw so many index matches, right?
Yeah, I think you rarely use VLOOKUP, but generally, guys, I found that in some cases index match. So let me give you an example. So we were working on a sheet, and when I wrote the formula using VLOOKUP, it took like 10 to 15 minutes to update. But when we used index match in that particular case, it updated in seconds. So that saved a lot of our time when we were about to analyze the data that we had. So
So just to give you some perspective, since we can't tell you exact names of fields and the exact data, we can tell you, for example, we had approximately 70 or so simulation cases.
right.
And all of those simulation cases had 8 wells, which has injection production data, and for 35 years. So you guys can imagine how big that data set would be, right? So that was the data set that we were working on. Okay, so next thing that I would ask you guys to do is, if you don't see a developer tab here, go to File, go to Options, go to Customize Ribbon, and on the right here, check your developer tab. So please do this and let us know if you have done this or if you don't get a developer tab, because we are going to show
Can
you
you repeat,
something
sir?
really cool. Sorry.
Can you repeat?
Okay, go to File, go to Options. All right, so it might look slightly different for you depending on your version, but this should look similar. And in Excel options, go to Customize Ribbon. All right, and in Customize Ribbons, select Developer. Were you able to follow?
Yes, sir, done.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
So
great.
now come in. Hello. Oh, a dev now. Nice. That's a good point.
One question before we are activating these sections. Has anyone ever written a VBA code in Excel in the audience? Or will it be your first one when we'll be discussing about it?
First time, sir.
First time.
Perfect.
Anyone
Okay,
knows
perfect.
that, and anyone knew before that we can do this stuff in Excel as well? We can write some codes, we can automate things using by a click of a button. Oh, great. All right. Thank you. Over to you, Ashutosh.
First time. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So now that you have developer tab, I would ask you to click on the drop down for insert, and under ActiveX controls, you will see a scroll bar. All right. So I would ask you guys to click on that and then make a scroll bar as big as you want. And what we'll do is we'll insert 2 of them. So I'll tell you the reason why we need to insert 2, but insert 2 of them. And once you guys are ready, let me know.
So Ashutosh, if you could highlight on that insert option again once. So guys, you can see that there are 2 things here, right? One is form control and one is ActiveX control. So ActiveX controls are the ones which contain some default. You can be more flexible with these. So these are the forms. Like if you want to add any kind of button or scroll bar or list in your Excel file, you can use any of these. With ActiveX, you get more customization, while form controls are more embedded in Excel, and you can work on them very easily. But if you want to do some complicated stuff, some more improvement on the visualization aspects, use ActiveX. Here we are using ActiveX because the kind of scroll bar which we are going to design can only be done in ActiveX controls.
All right. Thanks for that, Ritesh. And I hope in the meantime, people are able to make it. So now what I would ask you to do is, first of all, let me do this quickly just to check what numbers we want. Okay, perfect. So now click on the first scroll bar, select properties, and put your maximum value to 43983 and your minimum value to 38326. All right, and under linked cell, what we are going to do is we are going to write, this is B9 for me. Okay. So let me know once you are done. And essentially, I'm going to do the same for the second one as well. But I'll link this to B10 instead of B9. And yep, I know. And the maximum value would be 43983 38326. So what we're essentially doing is we are constraining the scroll bar limits, right? Oh my God, why did it change automatically? Oh, I know why it changed. Perfect. So once you guys do that, your data should change. And if you take a look at the bubble chart for now, it will change as you move it, right? So what it is essentially doing is it is changing our dates, and it is changing dates in the range that we have our data for. And that is why you see your stuff change quickly in your parameter section here, your cumulatives here, and your bubble chart as well. Right, and let me do this. Okay, now again, quickly confirming from you guys, were you able to do it from your end? Anyone wants to let us know?
And just a quick tip, guys. The reason why, if you yes, could you repeat the number? That's why I just wanted to go there and then tell you that in Excel, the dates which you see here, like you're seeing a minimum and a maximum thing right there, right? So the dates, day 0 in Excel means 1st Jan 1900. Okay, and then it is linearly increasing. So if you say to Excel that 1st Jan 2000, it does not understand that there is a number behind it, right? So that's why when Ashutosh just changed the format of start date and end date, he changed it from date to numbers. Now you see those numbers popping up, 38327, which is the minimum date that is present in our data set. And we have given that. And then you have got the maximum date. So the scroll bar that we have set, we have asked that the minimum value to be set at the minimum date which is present in our data set, and the maximum date to be the maximum in our data set. And then you can again go and change that format back to dates. So you will not get those numbers. You'll be getting your dates there. And that's how you do it. On the home section, under numbers, you see that there is an option of general, date, etc.
Okay, so just give me a quick second. All right, understood. Perfect. So what I'm also going to do is don't move or size with cells. This is something that I hate a lot about Excel. I'm just doing this for my end, but if you guys don't want to do it, it's all right. So again, if you want to make some changes and you're clicking on it, and it's changing stuff, you can go to design mode, and then it will be inactive for whenever your design mode is active, right? So if you unclick it again, and then I can change it. For some reason, I don't know, Ritesh, but it likes to resize. Okay, so let's do one thing, right? So now we have linked these, and as a result, this to our scroll bar. What I'm going to do next is link this to the scroll bar. Anyone has any ideas that they want to try on how to link this to our scroll bar, this particular graph? Come on. It's not that tough. You guys can take a you guys can try at least once. Okay, no one wants to try. So maybe Ritesh, you can let them know how you would do it, and in the meantime, I'll show them how I'll do it. We linked them to the data graph and build on. Yes.
That is right. Yes.
Question is, how do you do it? There are so many ways of doing it.
Yeah. So generally, what I would do is that see, what you need is you need that for a range of data, for a range of date which you're getting from those scroll bars. You need corresponding values, right? So every date has to start from a minimum value and it has to go to your maximum value. And you know that the increments that you can set as per your convenience. But here I think it is at every single day interval. So what I would do if I have to set a dynamic plot, I would find a start date and an end date in an Excel file. I would set my first column which says date. It starts from minimum and keeps on increasing the date till it reaches the maximum value. So that way I have a date column, and then using the UID concept or using a simple Vlookup, if I have a master data place somewhere, I can just look up for every single well or every single parameter being in the case, and then I can plot it.
Yep, that's a good way of doing it. I do it differently. I do a lot of stuff differently anyway. So what I usually do is so I really like Ritesh's way, but mine is how should I say, more of a jugaad than an actual solution like Ritesh. So what I do is what I've done here is just replicated the columns, and all I'm asking it to do is check whether the date we have or in a particular row is in sort of alignment with the start and end dates we have here or not. And if they are, I just return this value, or I return the actual date value. If they are not, I return error. So if there is an error, it won't look up anyways, right? So what did I miss? Oh, right, now it should work. Perfect. So now if I go ahead and change my scroll bar here, you will see what is happening. So it will give me errors, and you can't do a lookup on errors, right? If that makes sense. So this is my very quick and dirty way of doing it. Do you approve of it, Ritesh? I don't think you will.
Oh no, I will, as long as it gets the job done, right? So so only today you were talking that you have more experience with logic operators because you attended those electronics class in first year. I think I skipped those classes. So maybe I'm not a very fast user of these.
Okay. Yeah, no issues. But thanks for the thanks for the comments there. But for now, if you guys have done it, so if you see here, if I scroll my stuff here, right, you can see even my scale changes. So this is a really, really good way of doing it. And the reason why the scale also changes is, again, you have errors. And if there are errors, usually graph neglects those values. And that is why it is also resizing based on what your area is or selected dates are. All right. And I can do the same for gas, right? And it should change to gas. Why is it not changing to gas? Oh, I haven't
not linked it
there. It's totally my bad. Okay, there you go. Now it should work. So now we can see for a given time period, what was the cumulative that each of the wells produced, and what is the I should say, what was their individual plots or rates during these time as compared to each other. For example, I can select this, right? So for example, B4 is the maximum water producer for this particular range, but maybe if we select a different range, we'll have a different water producer which has produced more water than B3, right? So this is how this can be used for a quick analysis. So again, we'll ask you to make something similar to this in the project that we'll give you. So hopefully you guys are keeping up. So
right.
Any questions before we dive into today's topics, more of today's topics, I guess. And when you're going to save it, just press no and save it again, just because the ActiveX controls that we have also has macros inbuilt. So save as XLSM, so macro enabled workbook, but that can come later as well. Again, sorry, before we go any further, any questions?
Okay. One comment from my side, guys. So these dynamic plots which you are seeing is actually very helpful when you're going into well performance analysis. Sometimes you end up looking at a holistic picture when you're looking at the performance of few particular wells for a span of 10 years or 15 years. But in some cases, suppose if you have made some changes in one of the injectors which is nearby, or you've added some new perforations or some new zones, etc., then you need to focus on a very shorter period of time. So in those scenarios, when you have to analyze those kind of things, having these dynamic plots is very helpful to zoom in and zoom out of your database. And we have been using that very frequently. Okay. So if you join an oil and gas company and you have these techniques in your kitty, it will be very helpful for you to get started with.
And let me tell you what, as in if you make these dynamic plots properly, there are ways you can even plot your reservoir properties along with your surface or surface facility properties, and it gets really intuitive. So you can do some analysis that was never done before. So stuff like that. Okay, so I'll park this for now. If no one has any questions, I'll sort of give another 10 seconds. If there are none, we'll begin on our VBA session.
So before going in, and anyone wants to take a stab at it, that what does VBA stand for? You can Google it, by the way.
This is an open book test, so
it is Visual Basic for applications. Generally, some of us. I was introduced to Visual Basic, I think, in my 8th standard when I was studying, and it had not changed much, but it is a very helpful tool, and I hope that we can address some of the basic things again here. Great.
So we have one answer, I guess.
That is true.
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
I guess we can get started with you.
Yep. Do you want to take it, Ritesh?
Yeah, sure. So, guys, whenever you're going into Visual Basic, like Ashutosh said, you already have a developer tab activated on your Excel, right? So that is the first thing which you end up doing. And if you want to write a code, where do you write it? You can't write it in cell A1 or cell B2, which Ashutosh I just showed you, right? Or which opens in a default Excel file. There needs to be a place where you just write your codes, you check that if your code is correct or not. You debug them, and you make changes. You add a lot of formats, etc. So that is done in the developer tab, and on the second pointer which Ashutosh is showing you on the Visual Basics. A shortcut to that is Alt F11. So if you have developer tab enabled, if you press Alt F11, I think that will pop up this window as well. So on this window, as soon as you open it, is anyone in the group who is able to open this group, who is able to open this pop-up window of developer? Has anyone opened this? Can anyone open it and confirm that they've opened it? Oh, great. Thank you, Arsalan. So, yes. So when you open this, you'll be seeing that there are 5 different sections. Like Ashutosh has highlighted here, there is a menu bar, which is present in any of the Microsoft applications which you are accessing. It is same. It contains various informations in file, edit, view, etc. Then you've got your toolbar, which contains shortcuts for various things, for running your code, for pausing it, for stopping it, and for saving your codes as well. Then you've got 2 sections, one on Project Explorer on the left-hand side, which tells you that where your codes are present, or what all workbooks, what all modules are present in your Excel file. In the bottom of that, you'll be seeing a property window. So whenever you click on any specific sheet, it highlights various properties or various basic things it highlights those to the user. And then on the editor pane which might be blank for some of you guys if you have opened it. So on the editor pane, that is where you end up writing your code, right? So this is where in Excel, if anyone asks, you don't go and open cell A1 and start writing your code there. You write your code here, okay, in the editor pane section. Is it clear? I hope it is. So that is about the basics of the interface. And now we can go into various important keywords. These are very basic keywords, which I think, okay, I do not have a property window. Yes, that can also be enabled. So if you go to your view section, maybe you can see that. Can you open Excel? Actually, yeah.
Yep.
I think in view section, it gives you an option to open property window. Yep. There you go. All right. All right. Awesome. Yes. So now what we would like to tell you is that a few very basic keywords with the use of which you can write basic VBA code. Now, let me tell you, there is no end to this. I mean, you can do a lot of things in VBA, which even I cannot imagine right now. So it depends on the extent of your thinking that what can be done. But if you know these 4 or 5 concepts, you can get most of the things done. The first one is what I want you to understand is that there is an object hierarchy here, meaning that suppose you see the first line there written, right? Application dot workbook dot worksheet dot range dot value equal to hello. What it says that in cell A1 of sheet 1 of sample named Excel file contains value a string which is hello, right? And this is the hierarchy which it follows. So if you just randomly open any code and just write there that range A1 dot value is equal to hello, so what it will do that whichever sheet or whichever workbook is active, it will write hello in that A1 cell of that particular sheet. But suppose if you want to get that done in a specific sheet in a specific workbook, so this is how you define it, right? You start from workbook, which you start from application, which under which you've got your workbooks, under which you've got your worksheets, and then you've got your range. So range function is one of those functions which helps you in assigning values or placing a data or opening a data. And you also see a cell function there, which we will be talking about in point 4, that function also serves as a similar purpose. So don't remember this code. Just understand that there is a hierarchy which goes from application to workbook to worksheet to range or cells. The second thing which is the most essential, that if you have to start writing a code, how to start writing a macro. So that for that you need a sub function. So a sub function, then space, then you have to write your macro name. Now macro name cannot contain a space, right? It has to be a continuous string. I think you can add numbers as well, right, Ashutosh?
Yep.
Yeah, but it should not contain space in between, right? Special characters, I think I have used one. Maybe can you help me on this, or if you can quickly check that Ashutosh as well? Can we add special characters in macros?
Some special characters are allowed, not all of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. And your macro ends always with an end sub. So sub start by using sub, you start a macro, you write all your code in between, and in the end you write your end sub, right? And that is when the compiler understands that this is where you have to stop your code, right? Anything which is written beyond this will not be incorporated or will not be executed. So that is the most basic function. The second function is defining a variable. So if you guys have read about these terms, so they are generally everything is in 2 formats, right? Either it's variable or it's a constant, right? So a variable is something which holds a constant, right? And you can define variables as integer, as double function, as string in Excel, and that you have to do. It's a very good practice to define your variable, that this particular variable will only contain string, or will only contain integers, etc. And that is done using dim function. And how do you define it? Suppose if I have to define a variable a as integer, I define it like this: dim space a space as integer, right? Or dim space b as string. Okay, I hope you guys are familiar with a string or an integer. Great, thank you for that. Now, once you have done this, the next important thing is that you need to know so why do we use VBA? So we are using VBA to process something, right? To get those calculations done, or to automate some processes, right? So for that, what you require, you need to obtain data, make those calculations, and then place that data somewhere, right? Now, for those calculations, etc., we will be discussing various things, that there are conditional statements, there are looping, etc., which can be done. But the process of obtaining and placing a data, that can be done either using a range function or a cell function. If you're not familiar, if you're not aware of these functions, you won't be able to do anything, because you won't be having any data to work with, or even if you have done those calculations, if you don't know how to print it or how to place it at a specific place, it is of no use, right? So there comes either range function or cell function. So with the help of range function, you can define one value to a range of cells. Like here, if I have written that range A1, then you say that it has selected everything from A1 to A10 and dot select. So what it does, in your active sheet, it selects or highlights range A1 to cells A1 to A10, right? And if I have written that range A1 to A10 dot value equal to, let's say, 1, so what it will do, that every cell from range A1 to A10 will be assigned value equal to 1, right? So that function can be used, or you can use your cell function. So cell function, what it does, instead of defining everything to a range of things, it can be used to define value to one particular cell. So here it will be like cell 3, 5. So 3 is your row index and 5 is your column index, right? And cell 3, 5 equal to 1, then cell 3, 5 will become equal to 1. So can anyone in the crowd tell me that if I'm saying cell 3, 5, which cell I am talking about? Is it C5 or is it E3?
E3.
E3, right? That is true. That is true. So if you write cell 3, 5 equal to 1, then your cell E3 will become equal to 1. Now, if I have to use the same range formula to define E3 equal to 1, what I would be doing, I will be writing range, and in inverted commas, I will only write E3. I won't write E3 to somewhere. So if I write range inverted commas E3 equal to 1, then that will also define my E3 value to be equal to 1, right? Now, you can add that why do we have two functions? Well, the uses are different. Like I said, one is for a range of values, one is for single values. Cell has its own advantage because it contains numbers as its input, right? 3, 5. And with numbers, all your looping, all your conditional statements, all your calculations can be done with numbers. So that can be very helpful when writing any specific code, right? You can make that 3 as a variable and just keep changing that. So you can write cell I, 5 equal to 1 and just keep changing that I, so that cell will keep on changing, right? So it has its own advantage, which we will be discussing a bit in our looping section. Now, once you're done with range and cell function, there comes one very helpful function, and that is displaying text on the system or taking inputs from the user, right? So suppose if you are done with your with your macro and you want to display some results on the screen, then that is where your message box becomes helpful. In the end of the code or anywhere in between the code, you can write a message box function which will pop up a dialog box on your screen, which can say anything which you have written in between, right? So here it is written hello world. So if I execute just this code between my starting of sub and end sub, it will display a pop-up of hello world on the screen. The second thing that is input box. Suppose if in your code you want user to input a specific number, right? And let's say you're doing a decline curve analysis and you are cutting it off on your water cut, right? That any well which goes, which produces, let's say, a user defined water cut, let's say here it is 95%, then stop your decline curve analysis. That is your cutoff limit, right? And now if you have designed a dynamic sheet and you want that water cut number to be a dynamic thing, right? You want your users to input that number. Someone can enter 90%, someone can enter 98%. So there is where your input function can be helpful, right? So if it is running a code to get your lines and plots and forecasting values, you can ask your user that what is the cutoff limit of your WOR or water cut which you want, right? And that is where your input box plays a role at. So if you remember these 4 or 5 functions, that is a sub function to start a code, there's a dim function to define your variables, then there's a range or cell function, and there's a message box thing, right? Then you're familiar with 80% of your code syntax. And if I tell you that if you get familiarized, if you familiarize yourself with the conditions or the looping, which we'll be discussing next, then you'll be familiar with, I would say, 95% of the thing that you would be using in first year or second year of your job, right? So any questions on keywords? Any confusion? Looks like we are okay.
Perfect. So what we are going to do is again take a working session. But what do you think, Ritesh? Should we do the working session first, or should we cover all the theory and then drop to the working session?
Can we just write one simple code on the screen with a starting and just write hello world? Since many of us here are writing the code first time, so hello world is a traditional code, right?
All right,
so
let's
maybe
do
you
that.
can just tell them.
Okay, so just open the sheet, the rite of passage, right? So let's do it this way, right? So there are a lot of stuff which are open here. Maybe I'll close it. So just make sure if you have multiple sheets open in the same process, you will see both of them here, right? And so just make sure that if you're going to write something, make sure it is on the correct one. So if I click here, I'll insert. So there are a lot of things that you can make: user form, which will give you an input form, module, a class module. So I've never used a class module, but it sort of is similar to the hierarchies and stuff that we have in other stuff. So you can also make a class which in which there are functions which can inherit from other functions. So inheritance can be done here, but I'm not going to touch on that. And to be honest, I have not used that here. I use that in other coding languages, but not in this one. So for now, just to keep it simple, we'll insert module and we'll write in this particular module. All right. So if I come here, so as Ritesh said, we can start with sub, and let's say we'll write hello. And one special character that I can tell for sure works is the underscore. So we'll use that, and you press enter. So this is the extent of where your VBA code is. So it starts with the sub keyword and ends with the end sub keyword. All right. So let's just write, as Ritesh said, message box. Ritesh, there's a comment or a question. Can you please take a look at it?
Yep. Yes, it does.
Okay, what was the question now?
The question was, it works like a script, right?
It is a script, yes.
Yeah.
It is a script. So if you see here, click on it, it says hello world straight away. So we are going to go into these details, but before we go into that, there are a couple of things that I wanted to show you. But before we get into that, I quickly wanted to cover this section because I'm pretty sure you guys already know this is. But yeah, we just we'll quickly go through this because there are certain things that if we have time, we'll cover. And Raj, correct me if I'm wrong. How much time do we have? 15 more minutes, or is it till 8:30?
I think it was from 7 to 8:30, right?
The 6th.
And this time it was from 6:30 to 8:30.
I always get confused. Yeah, I think it's still 8:30 as well. Can someone check? Profs in Excel, wonderful. All right, I don't think we have Raj here.
Anyone from SPIT student chapter?
Right, yes,
Or any of the hosts?
Okay, while they are working on it, so we'll quickly sort of go through some statements. So again, these are generic because you can use these statements in VBA in any other programming language, albeit the how should I put it? The syntax would be slightly different. The logic remains same, the syntax is different. All right. So for conditional statements, I'm going to touch upon 4 here. There's a select statement, but I don't think I'm going to touch on it. Yeah, so I'm going to touch on if and else if statements. So so I'm not really sure if you guys have used only if statement, but if you have only one condition that you need to check and you need to run and you don't need any else condition, right? You need a code to run only when a condition is true. That is where you need the if statement. And anything that is orange here is not a part of syntax, and that is something you need to write, and everything else or anything blue is a part of the syntax. All right, 6:30 to 8:30, perfect. Oh, that's good, that's great. So for if statement, we'll have a condition. If it's true, we'll have a code. If it is false, the statement will end. That is it. But what if you have a condition that you need to run, or a code that you need to run in a case when it is false? So then you use if and else statements. So if your first statement starts with if, you give it a condition, and if that condition is met, it goes to result 1. All right. If that condition is not met, or if it is false, it goes to else, and whatever code we have written in else gets executed. So in this case, no matter if your condition is true or false, at least one of these things will be sort of taken care of or executed. And now if you have more complex code, right, if you have multiple conditions, so I have put sort of double ellipses here just to show that you can put in as many conditions as you want. So you start with first condition. If that is not true, it jumps and checks the second condition. If that is also not true, it jumps and checks the third condition and fourth and so on. And at the end, you also have an else statement. So you can sort of imagine this can keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger depending on how many statements you write. So if condition, else, else if condition, and else. So that was for conditional statement. Anyone has any questions? We'll be writing some code since we have some time. So you guys will see it in action anyways. Right. Crystal clear, perfect. So we'll go to the looping statements next. So again, these syntaxes are for VBA, but logic can be used in any other programming languages, right? So for VBA, for loop looks something like this. I should have written for here, my bad. Maybe I didn't change it. Right, so I'll stay in this window just to make sure if I have any other issues, I'll correct it. My bad. All right, so for works this way, right? So you need to have a counter, which is usually a variable, and you tell it from where it will start and where it will end. And the thing that you see on the gray here is totally an optional parameter. If you don't put in a step value, it will usually increment on 1. But if you put in a step value, it will increment. If you put in a step value of 2, it will go from say 1 to 3. If you put in it as 4, it will go from 1 to 5, and so on and so forth. So again, for the time that this variable is this variable's value is between start and end, or equal to start and end, the code block that you have written here will execute, and this next will sort of add in the step value that you have here, or if you don't have anything, it will add 1 to the counter and it will execute the block, right? So this is what it does. So it will see if the counter condition is true or false, which is start to end. So just make sure that you cannot write conditions like if or else. You can only write conditions like you can only sort of do it in an iteration basis, not on condition basis. So if it is true, it will run the code, go to the next counter and end. If it doesn't, it will go to false and it will end. I should have added a loop back here, but it's not there. Sorry about that. Next one is a do while loop, and the reason why I wanted to sort of check upon do while is there are certain things that you can do in do while that you cannot necessarily do in a for next block, right? So the do while loop looks something like this. So you write do, and while your condition is true, execute the following statements, and then you write in loop, right? So you can imagine what this does. So if your condition is false, it will straight away end. If it is true, it will run the block and go to the next iteration. But what if you reverse it, right? You write do here and you write loop while. So what this will do is it will at least run the code block once, even if the condition is false, because your conditional check is not done until your while statement is reached, right? So it will run all the statements at least once, and if your condition is false, then it will stop. If it is not, then it will go back. So Ritesh, anything that you want to add for conditional or loop statement before we go into actual VBA stuff?
just one thing. So like for loop is one of those loops which I have used very to a very high extent whenever I am creating a dashboard or I'm trying to analyze few trends. And do while is something which is actually a very strong tool to have, because in some instances nothing else will work except do while. So both of these, so you can write a generic code using both these concepts, but they have their own specific advantages. Like I told you that there's a difference between the way those codes are getting executed, right? So just wanted to highlight that thing.
Yep. And Arslan, for your question, it will execute at least once, but only if it is in the configuration on the right. Okay, perfect. So since we have some time today, Ritesh, just stop me if I'm going to sort of too far ahead of myself. The reason why I'm saying that is we have Kahoot as well, right? So I want to make sure that we can do the Kahoot today at least.
Sure thing.
Perfect. So first things first. Okay, I'll let Ritesh choose what we should sort of show you guys today first, because I have a couple of things that I want to try, but maybe that will be too advanced to start with.
Well, the first thing which I would love you to show the audience is that if you have written a code, where can you see those codes and how to run those codes, right?
Okay,
so you have written a very simple code there, right? Hello world.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could show the audience that where is that code?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys already they already know where that lies in the VBA screen, but there is another way, right? If you ever sort of, if you end up writing a lot of codes and if you are worried where that code is, you can go here in developer again, click on macros, and you can see which macros are available, right? And then you can straight away go into edit, and it will straight away take you to where that macro is written. Next thing that you can do, and this is the most interesting part again, so you can either put in a box from here or a button from here, or you can also use shapes. So I use shapes all the time because it's just easy for me. So I just click here, right click, and if you see here, there's an option to assign a macro. So if I assign a macro of hello world, so what it will do is anytime I click, it will run the code, right? So this is how you can do it. For example, let's do something else now. Sorry, Ritesh, did you want to add something else?
No. That's also adding these button features is actually very cool. It makes your Excel sheet looks like anything, right? So you can just click on stuff and get things done on the screen. So that's it. That's the one thing I wanted to just quickly highlight there.
Aslan says now we can make Minesweeper in Excel. And a fun fact, I did make a Minesweeper in Excel.
You can do that, yes.
Ritesh can tell how many games I have already made in Excel for
That is true.
for Exxon. So
yeah, if you join Exxon, then we'll be making a lot of games together.
All right. So let's do a couple of things, right? For example, I'm just thinking of the best way we can do it. All right. Let's do it this way. For example, you don't want to go through a drop down of all of your parameters, and you just want your parameters to sort of change if you on a click of a button, right? So now this might get complicated, and again, I am not really very good at picking these parameters anyway. So Ritesh, stop me if I'm going too advanced for the workshop. So
No
what I'm going
issues.
to do
I think
is
you can start.
yeah. Next parameter. Okay, so there's one thing that we haven't told you is correct me if I'm wrong. This is how we write in. Oh
That
yeah,
is
this is
right,
how we
yeah.
write a comment. So if you want to write some comments or leave some comments just to make sure that people who see the code later, or if you see the code later, understand, you can use single quotes and write your comment here. So moves to the next parameter. All right. So I've done this. So what I'll do here now is I'll create multiple variables. First, let's create dim. Okay. Row num as not integer. So what I'll use this is to sort of move our selection on these rows, right? Then let's select dim param as string because our parameters are a string. And next, let's use something else. So does anyone want to sort of take a wild guess on what we will use? Will we use a loop or will we use a condition here? Anyone? A wild guess? Okay. Can we define multiple variables in one line? Yep. So let's do this.
Yes, it can be done.
There you go. So you have multiple variables in one line. Although if you want to give values, I'm not really sure if you can give them in one line like Python and stuff. You'll have to, at least I have been using multiple lines to initiate or initialize the parameters.
Yep, so do I.
All right, so let's do it. So we'll use for. Actually, wait. We'll have to put in a counter as well. Okay. Yep, go in hiding for now. So now if you guys remember how you can sort of assign or if you remember the hierarchy, I'll use that same hierarchy. So to sort of get value from a particular cell. Okay, maybe this is a good time to sort of show you something interesting, right? So if I were to follow the hierarchy here, that Ritesh went through, which is really good. But if I were to write this code by myself, it gets really hard sometimes, right? So to write such a long code. So there is one really good thing that Excel has, and that is macro recording. So if I click on this, I'll press this, and I know that for my parameter, I need this value, right? So I'll click here, say click something else for now, and I'll stop. So if I go here now and see, it has already given me what my what was recorded, right? So it selected this. So all I'll do is put this here, and just to make sure that we are not selecting this from any other sheet, because we have B11 in all the sheets, right? So just to make sure that we don't select anything from other sheet, I'll do this. I'll put in the sheet name. Oh my god. Dot range. There you go. No,
I think it will go in an inverted comma, right? #3.
Usually we need the inverted commas, or that just for if we have a space here. So if I put a space here, then it should give me an error, but it did not. Maybe let's try it. Let's try it, because that is what I remember actually.
All right.
Let's give it a try. I'm getting a call. Yep, it actually gives an error. So you are actually right. We'll have to give it this way. Huh? Oh yes. Oh, this also happens, by the way. If your sheet is already selected, sometimes it will give you an error. So if I go here, because it's in selection. Huh. Maybe this is an issue, but in any case, we don't need that anyways. What we need is an value from this particular range. So this will tell me what my parameter is, and now I'll quickly do a lookup, or I'll quickly do a match here, right? Because I want to know where my parameter is, so that I can iterate on that. So I'll do a lookup on the array and 0. So this will tell me, oh my god, maybe I'll move it here for the timing. So my parameter 7 is selected, right? So what I'll do here is param is here, and row num would be B12. Right. And now what I'll tell is I know already that if where is it now? If my parameter sort of count is more than, say, 12. So this is I put in just for blank. So if my parameter count is more than 12, I need to put in 2. If it is not more than 12, I will add a 1. So this is where your conditions will come in handy. If row num, oh my god, is greater than, is actually, let's do it this way, less than equal to 12, then param equals. So now we'll pull value from meta sheet and put it here, but we will not use range now, because in range you need to put in a string which is not really iterable or changeable in a sense, but instead I'll write cells. Anyone wants to take a guess what will come here? First is row and second is columns. Okay, no one. Since we're running out of time, I'll quickly write it. All right. But we also need an else statement. If it is not less than 12, what we'll do is we'll put in equals and we know that if it goes above our 12, we need it to revert back to 2. And this is how you do it. So anyone has any questions? Because I understand this might be slightly difficult for the first time, at least easier on the second.
Guys, I just hope that you guys are now familiar with every single command or code which is a code line which is written here, right? So all the function that we have told to you, that sub, dim, if condition, that is what is making this code here.
Yep. So now, oh, I need to write it as well. My bad. Okay, let me tell you something interesting now. You can also define ranges, by the way, right? And my destination here would be, we'll get an error for sure, this. And then I no longer have to write the entire stuff. I can write this straight away. All right. So if I click on next, debug. What did I do something wrong here, Ritesh? Can you understand? Interesting. Okay, maybe let's try it without the range for
let's
now.
try without that one.
Sometimes it's really finicky and it doesn't work. All right. Okay, so this is where you guys would use your message box. Oh my god, just to see what this is doing. There are other ways, but let's stick to message box for now. Injected gas volume. All right.
You're not writing it at the right place?
Yeah, no. I'm not writing it properly.
Oh yes, it should be equal to. Right?
Yeah. Totally my bad.
That might be the reason why it didn't work the first time.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, it's okay. Let's work it this way, right? So for example, I'll come here now. I've already linked it or assigned it the macro of next parameter, right? And all I can do is click here. So I'm with oil now. Okay, so we are in oil now. Gas produced water. Now, what do you think will happen if I click here again? Anyone wants to take a guess?
Maybe you can show them the if-else-if statement.
Okay. So what I've written here is if counter is less than equal to 12, it will add or it will go along the parameters. If it is more than 12, which will be more than 12 if I add, if I click on this here. 1 second. Actually, let me do this. We have an answer. Can you read out what that says, Ritesh, please? Thank you.
Yeah, it says it will come back to the first value in the column if it's greater than 12. That's the right answer.
Correct. So now if see, I went back to hours online. So this is a really quick way if you don't want to always sort of play with your drop downs. This is one of the ways you can do it. All right, this was one of the formulas. I don't think we have written in loop as of yet, But do you have any idea how we can write a simple loop for folks here?
For loop. Well, this command can be only better executed using if-else-if statement.
Yep, this can be done using if-else.
Yeah.
For a loop, I was trying to think something else. Because all of our data is already in the right place. Usually we use for and
Yes.
stuff to get that correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a wait time X function? You
Wait
want
for
to
time
add
X. Yep.
Yes. That can be done. So generally, we have in one of our projects, we made a video with the bubble charts. We just try to show that in a span of 35 years, how the cumulative injection or how your injection rates are changing in a field, and to ensure that we are having a stop at every 1 second or 2 seconds. We added this code, so it helps you creating a video in Excel. Yes, we can make a loop on that.
Did I put in 2 minutes instead of 2 seconds? So this is how you write it, by the way, if you want to write it.
You are right, Aslan. So we can make a loop and the graph will change every 1 second. That is right.
Yep. All right. I guess last 17 minutes, since we don't have anything for the loop for today, maybe what we can do is we have a session tomorrow and we can prepare some simple exercises for loop for tomorrow, and we can jump to Kahoot now. What do you guys think? So host. So again, guys, feel free to join in via your phone or via your laptop, whatever you have in hand.
They know how to join in, right?
Yep. They already have done it in college, not like us.
Wow, these are different times.
Yep, very different times. So I've put in a pin and I've also keep this online. Let's see if I can make it full screen. F11, right? Yeah.
Sometimes your words, Ashutosh, it makes me feel very old.
Why?
Because like you said that they have been using this very frequently, right? But
yeah,
I was not even aware of this.
Same here. Same here. My first time using Kahoot was after I joined Exxon.
Okay.
And it was in a well testing school, and people were so competitive. People were sort of screaming and shouting after each and every question. It was so competitive. Quick Panther, Glad Beer, Happy Octopus. Would you like to join?
I would love to join. Me, it's my phone.
Okay. Oh, my bad. Used Kahoot in 6th grade once. Never thought I would be traumatized by shapes. That's true. That is true.
We have how many folks? Only 7. We have 15 on the call.
Yep. Let's wait for.
No one likes quizzes, huh? feel free to start, Ashutosh, as per your. Maybe if people have not joined, you guys can also annotate on screen if, or you can shout out the answers as well. I
Yep.
think.
And you guys can start anyways. I'm not locking in. So if people join in between, they can join in. All right. So this was supposed to be on day 2, but we were not able to do it. All right. So will your lookup work even if your primary column is not the first column? Okay, 6 answers. Waiting for a couple more. Okay. So the answer is false. Index match works. Lookup will not. All right. Just keep that in mind, guys, when you're using VLOOKUP, because that can be a puzzle if you guys are not aware. All right. So Quick Panther and Polite Penguin have opened their accounts, waiting for others to join in. What data types in VB are defined as? Is it option A, int A is equals to 10, semicolon, int A equals 10, define as A as integer, dim A as integer. Okay, we only have one wrong answer, but that is the right answer for C and C++, I should say, and even Java. Okay, majority is correct. That's good. Quick Panther, Polite Penguin still in lead. Let's see the next ones. All right. This one's a multiple choice, so just make sure that you select accordingly. 15 more seconds, guys. Four answers. Okay. So the right answers were first 2, which a lot of people were able to answer. That's good. That's good. All right. Polite Penguin is coming up. What is the difference between merging and appending queries? This is from the time when we used Power Query to append our queries and pull our data in. Do both of them give the same answer? You don't know, you don't care. Merge adds column on top of each other versus append does it based on criteria, or is the other way around?
I expect majority answering 3. Only 1? Seriously?
Okay. Interesting. Leaderboard is still the same, but people are changing their places. All right. This is for do while loop. Will it run at least once if it is in its second configuration, even though configuration is false? All right. Yes, if it is in the second configuration, if you have the while statement after the do statement, it will at least run once. All right, that's good. Okay, we have a new entry into our leaderboards inspired dog. That's great. Right, next one again is a true or false. This is a simple one. Come on, guys. Yep, it can be used to combine various data sets. We haven't shown you the full capacity of Power Query, but again, that can be done if we ever have a advanced session on Power Query. All right, leaderboards remains the same. Polite Penguin seems like the strongest contender as of now. All right. Okay, which of this is not a default type of chart available in Excel? Please pardon the issue.
NP. All right.
Yep. So all other charts can be made except Gantt chart. And Gantt chart usually is used for if you have certain tasks which are spread across in time, right? That is, and you want to sort of show them on how they are queued against each other. That is where you use your Gantt charts. But unfortunately, we cannot directly make it. There are some tips and tricks to make it though. All right. Glad beer is up. Inspired dog has dropped down now. Last couple of questions, guys. Last 4 questions. So, what is the correct hierarchy? Yep. Perfect.
Happy to see 6 correct answers there.
Yep. These two ones were confusing, and I put them there. So, yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. All right, glad bear is climbing up. Polite penguin's way ahead in the lead. Let's see. This one's a multi-select. This one's, I think, a repeat. But let's see how many people remember. What was the answer? Okay. Oh, interesting. Usually in multi-choice, even though the answers are apparent, a lot of people end up making mistakes, but that's good. Oh my God. Glad beer has come up from the bottom into second in the leaderboard. That's good. All right, second last question. What is the fastest way to differentiate between a text and numerical entry? And the reason why I'm repeating this again and again is even though a lot of people know about this, people tend to forget about this a lot. But if you remember this, this will be a really, really good diagnostic tool because all it takes is a look.
Awesome.
All right, that's really good. Now the last question. Let's see what happened to the leaderboard. So it has remained the same. This is the last question. Okay. Yep, we can. So if you remember, we there is a in lookup. Where is it now? Yep. So in lookup, we usually provide them the column name, right? So if you number, so if you remove if you replace this by a match, you can do a dynamic column lookup. Okay. Now we have a podium, and as we had done before, I would ask people to let us know who they are. So glad beer. Who was glad beer?
Satyam.
Oh,
Satyam.
Satyam. Nice. Who was quick panther?
Sir, it's me, Deepak.
Deepak. Oh, nice. Congratulations, both of you. And who was polite penguin?
Sir, I won't answer because I made one question wrong. It was multi-choice. I selected one.
Okay, you are polite penguin. Okay, interesting. Nice. All right. I think that is the end for today. So if there are any last minute feedbacks or anything that you want to give us, so we have 5 more minutes, you can give it to us right now. We had a Smurf in the quiz. Yes, we did. So yeah, if you guys have any comments, any questions, any feedback on the sessions, how they are going, how would you like us to proceed? Now is the right time. If I'll take a quick 10-second dramatic pause here to see if you guys have anything. If not, I guess not. This is what we have for next week. So we'll be giving you guys we'll be sending you guys the data. I should say, should we do it today or tonight or tomorrow, Ritesh? What would be the right time to send that data?
It's up to you, Ashutosh. Actually, I'll be pretty occupied after today. So
Okay, so let's do
totally
it.
your call.
Let's do it tonight, right after this meeting. So we'll just give the data to you guys, and this is what we'll ask you guys to do. Right, so design a dynamic dashboard to compare performance of various wells, and as we have shown you today, add a dynamic line and bubble plots, and a selection for dynamic time range, well, and parameter as well. So I believe we have question on entering values. We can type as fast. Okay. Okay. All right. I'll take that back for sure. We can slow down on that. So first would be to create a dynamic dashboard just to compare comparison, right? And all of the things that we did today would be applicable. Next thing would be to do a trend analysis or a decline curve analysis, whatever you guys are comfortable with, on wells and on a field level data to estimate remaining production life of the field for a given production, given oil rate, cutoff oil rate, and remaining reserves of the field for a given oil rate. So again, I'm not really sure if you guys have had decline curve analysis before. Or if you guys have done a trend analysis, but if you guys have not, now might be a good time to let us know, because if you guys have not, we can quickly share with you the basics.
So if I could just quickly ask amongst the audience who are remaining with us, how many are in first year or second year, and how many are in their third years or final years? Pre-final years.
Please share that one. Oh, I guess he means the sheet. Okay. Yeah, I'll share the sheet once we're done. But on a very quick note, if you're doing a trend analysis, first year. Okay. Oh, perfect.
All right. Lots of first years.
Okay. Right. So if I were to ask you to do a trend analysis on this particular trend, your analysis would look something like this, depending on what you choose and what your parameters are, right? And if say, for example, your cutoff rate is this much, pardon for the, oh my God. Let me just take this instead. If your cutoff oil rate is this is how much excess volume you can produce. All right. So one of the answers would be this, and this particular date here would be how long you can produce it for. So that is what we would ask you guys to do. Try and do at least for tomorrow's session, and we'll also go through with what you guys have done and how we would have done it together. So if you guys are even if you guys don't get the answers, it's not a big issue. Just do whatever you think might be representative, and let's have a good discussion on that for tomorrow. And again, since that will be done on real field data, and we'll also sort of bring in a lot of experience that we have from actually doing this sort of analysis and in the real field, right? It would give you an idea of what things we look at when we do analysis like this, and this will be helpful for you for sure. So anything else you want to add, Ritesh, before we close out the session? Hello, are you here, Ritesh? Or
sir, I think he has left already. He has written something in the chat box.
Need to drop off. Okay, perfect. All right. So I guess nothing else to add from his end. What I'll do is I'll send over the data file to you, and hopefully you guys can send it over to other folks, and we can have a good session tomorrow. All right. Any last comments from your end? Any closing comments from anyone?
Thank you, sir. That was an amazing session. Incredibly informative and interesting. This would certainly aid us in our endeavors to become competent and efficient engineers. I would like to thank you for putting such effort in this workshop and for arming us with this new knowledge and ideas.
Right, no issues. Happy to help. And in the meantime, what I'm doing is stopping my share. I'm dropping the file that I had in the chat here, so that if people want, they can refer to that. And once that is done, yeah, there you go. So Satyam or Raj, can you guys please take care of sending this file to other folks? And I'll also sort of prepare the data that we need for tomorrow's session and send it over to you tonight.
Yes, sir, we would.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
With that, I think the session is at its end. And thank you again for staying till the end. All right, then see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.